Today, I'm going to explain why Democrats seem to be obsessed with illegal immigrants. Hello, good people. It is Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, getter of buckets. And yes, Democrats seem to be completely obsessed with illegal immigrants, despite the fact that it might be the single most important reason why they didn't win the last election, illegal immigration. They are doubling and tripling down on the fact that, I guess to them, illegal immigrants are the backbone of our society. But what could be their motivation? Why are they so adamant to flood our borders with illegal immigrants? I think the answer is pretty clear. So I'm going to explain what that answer is. And then I'm going to actually play devil's advocate and try to steelman why some of the other more benevolent reasons might be posited by someone who says, hey, Democrats they don't have some nefarious plot. They just love the poor people. So let's just get right into it. The reason why Democrats want to flood our borders with illegal immigrants is because Democrats are literally trying to import a new constituency. Democrats are basically losing ground amongst every demographic except for like liberal, college-educated white women. And, hey, seeing as though these women they're not having a lot of babies, that demographic is shrinking more and more every day. But those Hispanics, they do like to reproduce. And if we can get them here and actually get them hooked on the government teat, as it were, they might have a permanent majority in some of these states where they can't seem to make enough ground. I mean, think about it. Black people have been about 13% of the population in the United States for decades. And that's because, this is a sad fact, Black people actually abort as many babies as we have. Or it might even be more. I'll double check that. But the fact of the matter is that the Black population in the United States is not growing. And so Democrats cannot count on the Black population or minorities in general necessarily to grow their constituency. Well, there are plenty of quote unquote resources just south of the border. And these people would love to be here because they come from situations where economically they're very disadvantaged. Now, let's explain specifically the type of immigrant or illegal immigrant, as it were, Democrats really like. They don't like the ones who can do like the computer science or the physicians, like the ones that come from Asia and things like that. They really, really have a penchant from the ones that come from south of the border. Why? Because those people tend to be poor. And if you are poor, it is a very attractive proposition to be offered all kinds of benefits that will make your life economically better than it was before. So poor people kind of have a built-in hook. They can get them hooked on the government teat, and then they can say, courtesy of Uncle Sam, remember that at the ballot box, of course, provided that they can somehow get these people transitioned from illegal immigrant to citizen by things like, anchor babies, birthright citizenship, dreamers, DACA, all that stuff. With a wave of a magic wand, they'll say, hey, these people have been here too long. We can't deport them. They're an integral part of our society. So now, tens of millions of people, illegal migrants later, then they'll say, hey, we have to make these people U.S. citizens. That's their plan. That's their strategy. They've tried to dismiss this by saying this is a conspiracy theory from white supremacists and blah, 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 blah. But it's actually pretty obvious. And if you just go down the line and think about the other reasons why they might otherwise want to import these people into our country, they don't seem to make sense. So let's go through those reasons. Reason number one, they just care about poor people. Okay, fair enough. Let's just assume that was true. The interesting thing about that is that there are plenty of poor people already here in America that we haven't even been able to help, at least not by the Democrat standards. We have our own poor people. The United States is a wealthy country, but there is a lot of, and this is their standard, wealth inequality, especially when you're talking about people of color. This is like a mantra among Democrats.
Hey, people of color don't have they can't get a fair shake in America.
And, between the reparations talks and the other things and the other government programs for low income people, there's no question that there could be a big dent made in the lives of the poor people we already have here in America. So does it really make sense that if the motivation was just to help the migrants, these illegal immigrants coming across our border simply because they're poor and Democrats are so benevolent, then wouldn't it stand to reason that they would at least do that from a position of strength, having already shown that they can help the poor people who are already here? Just take the homeless population alone. And in a place like California, they've had a dismal record of helping those people. So I would say it doesn't make a lot of sense to import tens of millions of new poor people when you haven't even helped the ones who are already here. All right, so let's say, well, it's not necessarily about them, it's about us. You know, one of the things that you hear ad nauseum is how much illegal immigrants contribute to our economy because they work and they pay taxes and all of this stuff. Now, I haven't figured out the paying taxes thing. I'm guessing they're saying like maybe payroll tax and sales tax, although in order to actually pay payroll tax, you need a taxpayer ID. And if you have a taxpayer ID, then you would have to be legal unless it's a fake taxpayer ID. I don't know. I don't know how it works. But in any case, this is what Democrats love to say. They say they pay taxes and they contribute to our society because they provide critical labor that Americans won't do. And that's a key point there at the end. Americans won't do the type of work that these illegal migrants will do. Take a listen to this lady on CNN the other day.
These building trees guys are being hurt by labor that shouldn't be here.
I can't wait until American women can't get blueberries for their smoothies. I cannot wait until there is a full crackdown on all small businesses, as if that's going to be the solution to the immigration problem. It is just going to put immigration-related issues further into the darker corners. We're not going to see them. It's just going to become even harder to solve the problem. It doesn't make sense to punish individuals and people when there is a broken system.
So she's pulling the whole liberal white ladies, just wait till you can't get your blueberries for your smoothie, then you'll see why we need these illegal migrants. Okay, so let's just assume that that's true. There's so much messed up with this that I don't even know where to begin. First of all, by their own admission, these workers, these illegal migrants, are being, quote unquote, exploited.
I think, folks know they're getting cheap labor. Folks are working for certain amounts that regular folks won't work for, or citizens, shall I say, wouldn't work for. And I think people want to, hurt those that are, lowest on the totem pole at this point. And that is why they're tackling those that are undocumented versus going after the employers, which many folks, many farmers, we know they're working, at these locations and no one's doing anything about it.
Now, one of the things that is constantly being said by the Democrat Party is how much they're against exploitation of the worker. So if these illegal migrants come to our country and they work for people who are exploiting them, you are literally advocating for and underwriting these workers' exploitation. And that doesn't seem like a bedrock principle of theirs. If it's really about how much they contribute to our economy, then are you literally saying that we should build our economy on the backs of what Democrats might consider just slightly above slave labor? That doesn't make any sense. So if we deport the illegal migrants, then they're no longer being exploited. But if they stay here, they'll have to remain illegal because there's no version of reality where, especially under Donald Trump, they're going to be made magically citizens. And not to mention the fact that up until 5 minutes ago, the idea of just magically rewarding illegal immigration was anathema to both the Democrat and the Republican Party. Listen to this little clip, this little montage of Hillary Rodham Clinton and Barack Obama himself saying, no, we're not going to do that.
I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
What's going to happen is you are going to pay a significant fine. You are going to learn English. you are going to go to the back of the line so that you don't get ahead of somebody who was in Mexico City applying legally. I think the American people, they appreciate and believe in immigration, but they can't have a situation where you just have 500,000 people pouring over the border without any kind of mechanism to control it.
So let's just think about it from this perspective. If you're saying that we need them for our economy, but you can't be okay with actually them being exploited by unfair labor practices and very low wages, then I have a solution that I think everyone could probably get on board with. When people say that the American worker won't do these jobs that these illegal migrants come in to do, what they really mean, or what they should be saying, is that they won't do the work for the same price. You see, if you actually offer people more money, you'd be surprised what they do. So being that, a so-called living wage is a bedrock principle of the Democrat Party, what would you say they would say to this proposition? Why don't we encourage the farmers and the agricultural people and those who hire, say, maids at your local hotel? Why don't we encourage them to pay them a wage that would actually be attractive to the American worker? That way, we can fill these jobs with Americans, and it's no longer an excuse to say, well, Americans won't do that work, and then we can get rid of all of the illegals. Now, I just wonder, do you think they would accept that proposition? I mean, just think about it. Absolutely not. To me, this argument very much reminds me of the abortion debate, where when you start to talk to a Democrat or a liberal and they start losing the debate, one of the first things they say, well, what about, RAPE and incest? And I say, okay, well, let's just take those off the table then. Let's say we grant you exceptions for those two cases and we take all the other abortions off the table. Would you accept that? Oh, no, well, because it's a woman's right to choose. And you see, we're right back at square one. It's a disingenuous argument and everyone knows it. And the same thing is true about the so-called care for the poor. And hey, we can't have a vibrant economy without the effectively slave labor of these illegal migrants. It doesn't make any sense. If you offer them an alternative and say, hey, why don't we, instead of having them pay, illegals slave wages, why don't we fix it so that they can actually pay Americans living wages? They still wouldn't accept that, because at the end of the day, they need the bodies and they need the votes. So there's a lot wrong with the so-called arguments of the Democrats when it comes to why they are so adamant that illegal immigrants stay here. But they should be really waking up, because what we've actually learned from this last election cycle is that it is not an automatic win for them to actually get the Hispanic vote, because Hispanic people are actually quite conservative in their values, especially socially. They are very pro-family. They like to reproduce. They don't like to delete their children at an alarming rate. And they haven't been going through these brainwashing institutions that we call public school and the college university system. So they haven't ingested all of this woke nonsense and these Democrat Party propaganda points. So the only thing they could actually offer them is bribing them with all kinds of benefits, which is why you saw in city after city after city them bending over backwards and providing tens of millions of dollars of services to illegal migrants who had no business being here. And we're not even going to get to the fact that, just like we mentioned before with the labor, how much it suppresses the labor and the wages of poor people, and especially people of color. Then you have to say there really is something fishy about the Democrats' claims that they just want to be benevolent and help the sojourner in the land. Well, I've said my reasons why I think Democrats are completely obsessed with illegal migrants, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments right now. Go ahead and do it. Make a little comment right now. Oh yeah, go ahead and like this video and share this video, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so that, when I upload a new video, you'll get that notification. And I do appreciate you coming and stopping by. Again, my name is Todd, and until next time, friends, God bless you.